जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Hare Krishna. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8. Chapter entitled Manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And today we will be taking up for discussion text 30, 31, 32 and 33. Because the first three verses don't have purports. So we will be reading all the four verses, their translation and purport. Text 30 is on the board, so please repeat after me responsively. Chara, achara, okaha, bhagavat, mahidram, ahi indra, bandhum, salila, upagudham, kirita, sahasra, hiranya, shringam, आविर्भवत् कौस्तुभ रत्नगर्भं चराचरौको भगवन्महीध्रम् अहीन्द्रबन्धुं सलिलोपगूढम् किरीटसाहस्रहिरण्यशृङ्गम् आविर्भवत् कौस्तुभरत्नगर्भम् चराचरौको भगवन्महीध्रम् अहीन्द्रबन्धुं सलिलोपगूढम् किरीटसाहस्रहिरण्यशृङ्गम् आविर्भवत् कौस्तुभरत्नगर्भम् चराचरौको भगवन्महीध्रम् अहीन्द्रबन्धुं सलिलोपगूढम् किरीटसाहस्रहिरण्यशृङ्गम् आविर्भवत् कौस्तुभरत्नगर्भम् आविर्भवत् कौस्तुभरत्नगर्भम् चराचरौको भगवन्महीध्रम् अहीन्द्रबन्धुं सलिलोपगूढम् किरीटसाहस्रहिरण्यशृङ्गम् आविर्भवत् कौस्तुभरत्नगर्भम् चराचरौको भगवन्महीध्रम् अहीन्द्रबन्धुं सलिलोपगूढम् किरीटसाहस्रहिरण्यशृङ्गम् आविर्भवत् कौस्तुभरत्नगर्भम्. Translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarendra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. First, please repeat the synonyms after me. I will be reading out the synonyms. Please repeat them after me. Chara, moving animals. Achara, non-moving trees. Okaha, the place or situation. Bhagavat, the personality of Godhead. Mahidram, the mountain. Ahi Indra, Shri Anantadev. Bandhum, friend. Salila, water. Upagudham, submerged. Kirita, helmets. Sahasra, thousands. Hiranya, gold. Shringam, peaks, Avirbhavat, manifested, Kaustubha, the Kaustubha jewel, Ratna Garbham, the ocean. Translation: like a great mountain, the Lord stands as the abode for all moving and non-moving living entities. He is the friend of the snakes because Lord Ananta is his friend. As the mountain has thousands of golden peaks, so the Lord was seen with thousands of golden helmeted hoods of Anantanaga. And as the mountain is sometimes filled with jewels, so also his transcendental body was fully decorated with valuable jewels. As a mountain is sometimes submerged in the ocean water, so the Lord is sometimes submerged in the water of devastation. This verse does not have a purport, so we will continue further with the further verses. Nivitamamnaya madhubrata shriya swakirtimaya vanamalaya harim Suryenduvaya vyagnagamam stridhamabhi parikramat pradhanikair durasadam. Lord Brahma, thus looking upon the Lord in the shape of a mountain, concluded that he was Hari, the personality of Godhead. He saw that the garland of flowers on his chest glorified him with Vedic wisdom in sweet songs and looked very beautiful. He was protected by the Sudarshan wheel for fighting, and even the sun, moon, air, fire, etc. could not have access to him. Text 32. Taryeva tanna bisarassarojam atmanamambhasvasanam viyaccha dadarsha devo jagato vidhata nata param loka visarga drishtihi. When Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination, thus saw the Lord, he simultaneously glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake in Lord Vishnu's navel and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air, and the sky. All became visible to him. Text 33. Sakarma bijam rajaso Sakarma bijam rajaso paraktaha praja sistrikshan iyadeva drishtva austad visarga bhimukastamidhyam avyakta vartman abhivesitatma. Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the mode of passion, became inclined to create. And after seeing the 5 causes of creation indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentality. Purport: even if one is in the material mode of passion, to create something in the world, he has to take shelter of the Supreme for the necessary energy. That is the path of the successful termination of any attempt. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Dvancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्राब्धिपीयूष सर्ववेदैकसत्फल सर्वसिद्धान्तरत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैकदृक्प्रद सर्वभागवतप्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वान्तोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्णपरिवर्तित परमानन्दपाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोऽस्तु मे। मदेकबन्धो मत्सङ्गिन् मद्गुरो मन्महाधन मन्निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमोस्तु ते। असाधु साधुतादायिन् अतिनीचोच्चकारक हानमुञ्च कदाचिन्मां प्रेम्णा हृत्कण्ठयो स्फुरः। Hare Krishna. So this morning we will be discussing from 3rd Canto 8th chapter, the last 4 verses. Although there are very senior devotees present in front of me, senior in terms of their knowledge also, graduates of Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith. They have studied thoroughly all the books by Srila Prabhupada. Somehow I will attempt to speak something about these verses. They are very technical verses. This section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, is about creation. It's quite technical. No stories, nothing like Mahavatar Narsimha, very dynamic story. You can tell stories, entertain devotees, nothing like that. So, I don't know how much I will be able to do justice. But whatever I will be speaking is because what I have heard here in ISKCON Chowpatty and other places, but mostly here from all my senior God brothers, my Shiksha Gurus, my Diksha Guru, I have heard from them, and whatever I have heard, I will repeat. So, if you find anything useful, the credit is due to them. Any mistakes, errors are entirely mine. So, now Lord Brahma, in this episode, he is now seeing the form of the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And there is a shloka from the Satvata Tantra that Srila Prabhupada quotes in one of the purports of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about the 3 Vishnus, Karanodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So, someone might think why this particular episode is coming. So, that verse talks about that one who knows these 3 Vishnus, all these 3 Vishnus, he becomes liberated from this world. So, this is the importance of knowing these Vishnus, and therefore, now Brahmaji, having seen the form of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, he is describing the form what he is seeing. So, in the 30th sloka, in the purport which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives, he says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that having compared the Lord to a sandalwood tree, Brahma now compares the Lord to a sandalwood mountain. Now, why is Brahma doing this? Because Brahma wants to show that the Lord is his own shelter. Krishna is the cause of all causes, but he does not have any cause. Like the famous verse, first verse from Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter. Ishvara Paramakrishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. He is the cause of all causes. But he is beginningless, Anadi. He does not have any cause. So this is a theme which is continuously repeated in different places in the scriptures if we see. And even a personality like Gajendra, like Gajendra is an elephant, a beast. We don't expect beasts to be very scholarly or very well read in the scriptures. But even a person like Gajendra, he talks about the same thing in his prayers. Namo namaste khilakaranaya nishkaranaya adbhutakaranaya. So he says, my Lord, you are the cause of all causes. Namo namaste. I offer my obeisances to you. Akhila karanaya, the cause of all causes. And nishkaranaya. But you yourself have no cause. So, the Lord is his own shelter. The Lord is his own shelter. And then, Brahmaji says, Bhagavan Mahidram. He is talking about the Lord as a mountain. Mahidram as Mahi means earth. And a huge mound of earth, Mahidram, is a mountain. So he has compared the Lord as a mountain. After first comparing him as a sandalwood tree, then sandalwood mountain. And then he says, Ahindra Bandhum. Ahindra. So Ahi Indra is the Lord of the snakes, Sri Anantadev. And he is the friend of Lord Ananta. So, in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an entire chapter which is entitled The Glories of Lord Ananta. And in this chapter it is described how Lord Ananta is constantly glorifying the Lord. Ever since creation, Lord Ananta is describing the glories of the Lord and he is not yet finished describing. The glories of the Lord are so unlimited that he is constantly going on describing, but still the glories are not getting exhausted. And because Lord Ananta is engaged in glorifying the Lord constantly, he just focused on chanting the glories of the Lord, even though he is carrying the weight of the entire creation on his hoods. That weight for Lord Ananta feels like just like the weight of a mustard seed. What is a mustard seed? You know, how many of you all mustard seed? How much size? And what would be its weight? But that is what is the weight of the entire creation for Lord Ananta, because he is engaged in constantly glorifying the various attributes of the Lord. So in our life, in each one of our lives, we have so many responsibilities which may be seeming to us like great burdens. For school-going children, it is exams. Now it is vacation period, holidays, so fun time. But after some time there are exams. So they look at it as burden. For somebody else, some other burden. Everybody has something in their life which they are looking at as great burdens. How will I carry this burden? That is why we see in modern times, the biggest disease is more not physical but psychophysical, caused by stress. Because people are not able to understand how to lighten this burden. And here we get a hint. Lord Ananta is giving us a hint. how to lighten this burden. And how Lord Ananta does that? Not like, in Greek mythology you have Atlas who is carrying the entire earth on his head and he is waiting for somebody who will come and ask what you are doing so that he can transfer the load to him. Not like that. The solution that Lord Ananta gives is amazing. He is constantly engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord, and we should take a hint from that the weight of those responsibilities become insignificant when a person absorbs himself more in chanting the glories of the Lord rather than just focusing on the burden itself. Lord Ananta was told by Brahma to carry this universe, the entire creation. Lord Ananta is there in the Patal Loka, he is carrying the universe. And Lord Ananta asked, how long should I carry this whole creation? How long? So Brahma told him, you start glorifying the Lord. Start glorifying the Lord, and when the glorification comes to an end, then you may stop carrying the universe. So Brahmaji intelligently gave this answer. Why? Because since that time, since creation, Lord Ananta has been glorifying the Lord, and because the glorification of the Lord never comes to an end, instead of Lord Brahma, instead of telling Lord Ananta that he has to hold up the universe forever, Brahmaji intelligently told him that you just keep glorifying the Lord. And when the glorification comes to an end, you can keep the creation down. But this is not just playing tricks. Actually, Brahma knows, Lord Brahma, being the first born creature of this whole creation, he knows that when Lord Ananta will be absorbed in glorifying the Lord, the glories of the Lord, the attributes of the Lord, then Lord Ananta will feel that the weight of the universe is insignificant. And then in the last line it says, Kaustuba Ratna Garbham. There is a description of Kaustuba Ratna Garbham. So this Kaustuba jewel, which is described in the last line of the first sloka which we are discussing today, text 30. So there is a description of this in the Rudra Geetam about the Kaustuba gem. So the Lord is very beautiful, super excellently beautiful, very attractive to everybody who glances at him. And his attraction is because of his merciful smile and his sidelong glances upon his devotees. And it is said that his black hair is curly and his garments are waving in the wind. And these garments appear like flying saffron pollen from lotus flowers. And various descriptions of the ornaments that are there on the body of the Lord, they are given. And along with the main things are the conch shell, panchajanya, disc, the club and the lotus flower. All these, they increase the natural beauty of the Kaustuba pearl which is on the chest of the Lord. So all these things, all the other jewels, his earrings and his bracelets and his other jewelry and everything, his belt, everything else, his conch shell, Kaustuba, everything else are just there to increase the beauty of the Kaustuba pearl. So Lord Shiva, in that 4th canto, Rudra Geet, he describes that the Kaustuba gem on the dark chest of the Lord, it is so beautiful. And he gives a very nice analogy. He says that it is actually that Kaustuba gem on the dark chest of the Lord, it defeats the beauty of a gold testing stone. So there is a stone, usually these goldsmiths have this gold testing stone. So if you have that stone and you rub gold against it, it leaves a golden line on it. So that golden line on the dark background, it's usually black in color, that stone. On that dark background of the stone, that golden line, it stands out and looks very beautiful. So Lord Shiva is talking about that particular, in the Rudra Gita, he is talking about that particular stone and how it appears so beautiful. And he is describing that the Kaustuba gem, which is there, which is mentioned in this by Lord Brahma in the 30th verse today, Kaustuba Ratnagaram, that Kaustuba jewel against the dark complexioned body of the Lord, it looks exactly like, in fact, it defeats the beauty of this gold testing stone with streaks of gold on it. So, just as like when we make DT dresses, you see the Lord is dressed in such nice outfits today. But when these outfits are made, it's not just the outfits are made. The backdrop, you see the backdrop? Behind the Lord, there are some cloth is hanging, very with nice designs. So along with the DT dresses, corresponding backdrops are also made. And those backdrops are made in such a way that the DT dress will stand out. So always the person who is dressing the DTs, especially somebody who is dressing Lord Gopinath or Lord Gaurnita, their concern is that the devotee should, who is going to put up the backdrop, he should do it as soon as possible. Why? Because as far as the dress is concerned, that is designed in such a way that it will stand out against the backdrop. But the devotees who are dressing Gopinath and those who are dressing Gaurnita, they will be tying turban to the Lord. And that turban, they have to choose the cloth in such a way that it stands out against the backdrop. So therefore, the black stone on which the gold is rubbed to test its value, it looks very beautiful, being streaked by gold lines. So the Kaustuba gem on the body of the Lord, on the dark chest of the Lord, it excels even that gold testing stone in beauty. Then in the 31st slok, it says that the Lord was wearing a garland which was made of his own glories. Swakirti Maya Vanamalaya. So, the garland was made of his own glories. So normally when a person wants to wear some ornament, that ornament is separate from the person's personality. We put that ornament or garment, as far as we are concerned, we put an ornament or a garment to increase our beauty. But here Lord Brahma is describing that the Lord was wearing a garland which was made of his own glories. So one of the opulences of Krishna is that he is famous. The 6 opulences are Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Yashasha Sriya Yasha. He is very famous. One of his opulences is famous. Fame. His Kirti. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, in the first chapter of this canto, Vidura talks, when Vidura meets Uddhava, he says, please describe about Tirtha Kirti. So the Lord is described as Tirtha Kirti, one who is glorified in the places of pilgrimage. So Vidura says, I have actually traveled to so many holy places of pilgrimage and bathed in the waters of those holy places. But please bathe me now in the holy place called Krishna Katha, or bathe me in the Katha of Tirtha Kirti. I have traveled to many Tirthas and bathed in the waters there, but now bathe me in the Katha of Tirtha Kirti. So Krishna's fame, it is said in this, Brahmaji says, Swakirti Maya Vanamalaya Harim. So whenever there is a garland, usually we have this experience, when there is a garland which has a lot of fragrant flowers, colorful flowers, then there will be a lot of bees buzzing around that garland. So here, the bees that are surrounding the garland which was worn by the Lord Those bees are the personified Vedas. Why? I am not saying this. It is said by Lord Brahma himself. He says, Nivitam amnaya madhubrata shriyaha. In the 31st verse he says that, Nivitam amnaya madhubrata shriya. The Lord was endowed by a garland made out of his own glory, and it was surrounded by the Vedas singing his glories like the bees. So the personified Vedas were singing the glories of the Lord like the bees. And what is the purpose of the Vedas? We have so many verses which talk about the purpose of the Vedas. Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo. From the Bhagavad Gita chapter 15. Then another option is from the first canto, second chapter, the ultimate object of knowledge, Vasudeva Paraveda. The ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. From the second canto, Bhagavan Brahma Katsnena Triranvikshya Manishaya Tad Andhyasyat Kutastho Ratiratman Yato Bhavet. So this describes about Lord Brahma only, since we are talking about Lord Brahma, that Lord Brahma, with great attention and concentration of mind. Now this is something which is indicative for us. How we should study the scriptures. How we should study the scriptures. Lord Brahma, the first created being, he is setting the bar for us. He is setting the benchmark. How we should study the scriptures. Because Lord Brahma is not an ordinary personality. Our body is made up of earth, fire, air, water, ether. But Lord Brahma's body, the entire body, is made up of intelligence. Not just small grey matter inside the skull, which keeps on diminishing with age. No, his entire body is intelligence. You can say his intelligence personified. And that person, with great attention and concentration of the mind, he studied the Vedas 3 times. This in second canto, it is described. He studied 3 times with great concentration and attention. And after scrutinizingly examining the Vedas, he ascertained that the attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of the Vedas, studying the Vedas. And Srila Prabhupada quotes one very interesting, so like someone might say, oh, so you mean to say that only if somebody studies Vedas, then he will be able to, the purpose of the Vedas is to know the Lord. So I'll have to study the Vedas if I have to know the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada, he quotes in a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he quotes a very, very nice verse which comes in various Puranas. He says, Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tatha Adav Ante Cha Madhye Cha Hari Sarvatra Giyate. In the Vedic literatures, so Vedas are there, but that doesn't exclude the other literatures which we know. So in the Vedic literatures and including the Ramayana, the Puranas and Mahabharata, from the very beginning, Adav, to the end, Antecha, as well as in the middle, Madhyecha, only Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is explained. And also, there is one verse which is more familiar, which comes up in Padma Puran, Skanda Puran, Linga Puran, and it also very famously comes in the Phalashruti of Vishnu Sahasranam. It says, Alodya Sarvasastrani Vicharja Punap Punaha Idam Ekam Sunishpannam Dheyo Narayano Hari. By scrutinizing all the revealed scriptures and judging them again and again, Idam Ekam Sunishpannam. Ekam, what is that? What is the conclusion? It is concluded that Lord Hari, or Lord Narayan, is the supreme absolute truth. And thus he alone, Dheyo Narayano Hari, should be worshipped. So, this is the purpose of the Vedas. Then, Further we see in the next verse, it is said that Suryendu Vayavagni Agamam Tridhamabihi. Even the sun, Surya, Indu, the moon, Vayu, the Vayu or the air personified, and fire, Agni, does not have access to him. They do not have access to him. They do not have access to the Supreme Lord. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, Name vidus suragana prabhavam na maharshaya aham adir hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashaha. Neither the demigods nor the great sages, they know my origin or opulence. For I am the source of the demigods and the sages. And then again, the last line of the 31st verse says, Parikramat pradhanikair durasadam. This word durasadam is very important here. Durasadam means he was very hard to reach. He was so hard that there was no access even to the personified sun, moon, fire, air. The demigods who are in charge of all these particular sun, the moon, they could not even access. Why? Because Durasadam, Parikramat Pradhanikair Durasadam, he was very hard to reach. And what was making it so hard to reach him? Because he was surrounded by all his associates and weapons, which were all made of eternity, knowledge and bliss. So like Lord Brahma again prays in the Brahma Samhita, Panthas tukoti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso munipungavanam sopyasti yat prapadasimnya vichintya tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. What does Lord Brahma say? He says, I worship Lord Govinda, the primeval Lord. Only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after transcendental knowledge, and they betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. So even after doing so many tapasya, so much studies and so much mental gymnastics, all these people are only able to reach up to the tip of the toe of the lotus feet of the Lord. And more closer home in Srimad Bhagavatam, Athapi te deva padambujadvaya prasada leshanu grihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. If one is favored even by a slight trace of the mercy of the lotus feet of the Lord, then that person can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even if they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So, the most important factor we have to understand here that is needed is mercy, the mercy factor. So, in the 32nd sloka, it is said that when Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination, thus saw the Lord, he glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake in Lord Vishnu's navel and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air in the sky. All became visible to him. So Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the mode of passion, became inclined to create. And after seeing the 5 causes of creation indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentality. So this is very important. This one-line purport, Prabhupada has given such an amazing one-liner that it sums up the whole discussion today. Prabhupada says, even if one is in the material mode of passion, To create something in the world, he has to take shelter of the Supreme for the necessary energy. That is the path of successful termination of any attempt. So this reminds me of only one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which talks about this, and that is akamo sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. What does that mean? Akama. Akama means one who has no desires, not because he is unable to fulfill those desires, but because somebody who has transcended all material desires. And sarva kama, one who has the sum total of all material desires. One who has all kinds of material desires. So there are two kinds of persons, akama or sarva kama or moksha kama. Moksha kama means one who desires liberation. Udaradhi. So one who is completely detached from all kinds of material desires, he has transcended all material desires, or somebody who is totally engrossed in all kinds of material desires, either of these persons, if with broad intelligence, they must worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yajeta Purusham Param. And how? Not just worship, but Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, intensely. So this is very, very important verse. We should understand. Yajeta Purusha Param. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. So we are getting a hint here in today's verse. Brahmaji, even though he is going to engage in an activity which is characterized by passion, but still Srila Prabhupada in his purport he says, even if you are engaged in this activity which is characterized by passion, the critical point is, if you want success in that activity, it has to be focused towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, after having discussed, I will just briefly discuss about the two festivals today. Today is Ananta Chaturdashi Vrata. So, there is elaborate description in the scriptures about how to observe this vrata and what are the benefits that you will get by observing this vrata. So, this word Chaturdashi is very important in this Ananta Chaturdashi vrata. It is supposed to be done on the Chaturdashi Tithi, which is today, the 14th day of the waxing moon, Shukla Paksha, of the Bhadrapad month. Bhadrapad Shukla Chaturdashi. So that is why it is Chaturdashi Vrata. But also, if somebody is keen on performing this Vrata, it has to be done for Chaturdashi, that is 14 years. It's not that you do once and done. You have to be able to do it for 14 years, every year on Bhadrapad Shukla Chaturdashi. It's not so easy, Ananta Chaturdashi Vrata. But the beauty of it is focused towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ananta. And from Lord Ananta we can learn how, as I described in the beginning of my class, how to reduce the burden by glorifying, by constantly chanting the glories of the Lord, by constantly chanting the names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And this Ananta Chaturdashi Vrata for Gaudiya Vaishnavas is more important and more emphasized because it is the disappearance day of Srila Haridas Thakur. We see Srila Haridas Thakur in the altar today. So those who have come today, you all might be wondering, who is this personality sitting in the altar? He is Srila Haridas Thakur, one of our great acharyas. In fact, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorified him by giving him the title Nam Acharya. He is Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. Many devotees celebrate Ananta Chaturdashi by chanting 192 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in memory of Srila Haridas Thakur. I am not saying that everybody must do it. In fact, I am also not doing. But the point is, for anybody who is seriously interested in developing attraction towards the holy name, it is a very important festival. And today in Puri, it is very important because his samadhi is there in Puri, right by the ocean shore. And after Srila Haridas Thakur left his body, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally carried his body to the ocean, bathed his body in the ocean water, and declared that now this ocean water has become a tirtha, holy tirtha. And personally for me, this is something, a day where I would like to reaffirm, reconfirm my commitment to the mission of Srila Prabhupada, because this was the day when I first came to ISKCON Chowpatty many, many years ago. In fact, any ISKCON temple I first came was ISKCON Chowpatty, and it was on Ananta Chaturdashi day. And I remember that day very nicely because that time I did not know who is Haridas Thakur and Haridas Thakur disappearance day. I had no clue about that. So one of my friends, he had invited me to temple, His Grace Radha Prabhu, and I came, and that time it was a Sunday. In that year it was on a Sunday. This year it's on a Saturday, but when I came it was on a Sunday. And I walked into the temple, and those were the days when you had Rajbhog Aarti from 12:30 to 1:30, almost 2 o'clock, led by Maharaj himself. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj would lead the Rajbhog Aarti, and then he would quickly go have a shower and come back, and then we'll have Sunday feast class from 2 in the afternoon to like 4:30, easily 4:35. And then we'll have concluding kirtan, again led by Maharaj. And in between, there used to be impromptu, on-the-spot dramas by devotees. And the person who would take the lead in these dramas was His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu. He would suddenly stand up and he will take on the role of one personality, and he would start talking, and then immediately somebody else would stand up, respond, the other personality. So that day, something like that happened, because that's why I remember that day very nicely. Suddenly, Radha Gopinath Prabhu got up, and he was talking like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking to Haridas Thakur. And then another devotee stood up, and he started responding like Haridas Thakur. And then the whole thing happened, and I remember so vividly that whole episode, and I was like completely stunned. What is happening? Now suddenly everything was going nicely, and suddenly what is happening this? And I had no clue what they are talking, because I didn't know the script, I didn't know Chaitanya Charitamrita, my first day here. And suddenly they are doing all this. But I remember very clearly, at one point of time, Radha Gopinath Prabhu picked up, because that is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu picked up the lifeless body of Srila Haridas Thakur and danced through the streets of Jagannath Puri. So actually Radha Gopinath Prabhu picked up that person who was playing the role of Haridas Thakur, and he danced from this end of the temple hall to that end of the temple hall. And everybody was like making way. Those who were seated, they were making way so that Prabhuji can dance. And I was like, what is happening? And Adidev Prabhu, who was my friend, who had invited me, he saw that look of bewilderment on my face, and he took mercy on me, and he explained to me the whole story in a gist, what is happening. He is Mahaprabhu, okay. So I understood. Later on, as I read Chaitanya Charitamrita, I heard from other devotees, then the story became clear. But the interesting part is, Radha Gopinath Prabhu, on that day, his body, the way it was, it's still the same size, more or less. Maybe he has shrunk a little. Definitely not expanded. He has shrunk a bit. But that person who was playing the part of Srila Haridas Thakur, nobody will believe if I tell who is that person. I will not tell who that person is. Nobody will believe that Radha Gopinath Prabhu could carry that person and dance like that. So, therefore, it is a very great opportunity for us to increase our attachment to the holy name on this auspicious day of Ananta Chaturdashi by remembering Srila Haridas Thakur and his strong devotion to the holy name. So much so that even though he was not born like in a very aristocratic Brahmin family or nothing, but still, even though by birth he may not be within the Varnashram also, but even then, because he was so attached to the holy names of Krishna, so much attached, that even Maya Devi herself could not deviate him from his chanting of the holy names. So we should pray to Srila Haridas Thakur, all Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should pray to Srila Haridas Thakur on this most auspicious day of his disappearance on Ananta Chaturdashi, that we may also be blessed by this kind of attachment to the holy names, so that nothing of this world can deviate us from our chanting, like Haridas Thakur was completely focused. So I think we are out of time. There is a lot to speak, but time does not allow me. And if anybody has any comments or corrections or questions, we can take one. Do we have time for one?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. 5 years back, I connected to Krishna consciousness.
5 days back.
Yes.
Oh, welcome.
I started chanting and following the regulatory principle of no meat eating before coming to temple itself. Okay. At that time, I was habituated with listening to lectures via online meet. Till now, in my listening, I spend most of the time in online. Second, in local program lectures. And third, in physical lectures in Bhagavatam. I am more attached to online lectures because that connected me. But I want to develop taste in offline lectures of Srimad Bhagavatam by sitting. How can I develop that?
How can you develop taste in sitting and hearing Bhagavatam lectures live in front of? Actually, when you say that you developed a taste to hearing Bhagavatam by hearing online, online can be a substitute. You cannot make that your main source of nourishment. Because Srimad Bhagavatam, like what we say that, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. That is the standard. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So Bhagavat means there are two connotations to the word Bhagavatam. One is the book Bhagavatam. It can be in printed form, it can be in electronic form, whatever. But the book Bhagavatam. And another is the person Bhagavatam. So the person who is talking about Bhagavat. So, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. So the whole purpose of our practicing Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the cornerstone of the Krishna conscious practice, is Cheto Darpana Marjanam, the purification of the heart. Because unless the purification of the heart takes place, Krishna is not going to come and reside within your heart. Even though it is impure, at the present moment, he is staying there as Paramatma, just in order to guide the Atma. He just, is watching the activities. But if you want Krishna to actually come and reside within your heart, and if you want to experience the love for Krishna, if you want to experience that loving reciprocation from Krishna, then you need to have a clean heart. No abhadra, no unwanted things should be there. What are these unwanted things? Kama, Krodha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Lobha. All these things are unwanted things. Lust, greed, pride, envy. So how do you remove these things? Like for example, I have a glass of water here. If I ask you, how will I remove this, whatever is there in this glass, how will I remove this? You say, give me Prabhuji, I'll just throw it and come. Or maybe somebody will drink this water. So water is empty. Okay, now this is a physical thing. This you can do. You can drink the water, you can throw the water. What about lust, anger, greed, pride, envy? These are subtle things. These are not physical attributes which you can pick up and throw somewhere or drink or do something with it. So for these non-physical attributes, but they are there, definitely they are there. We experience them. When they rise up, we experience their presence. Any one of you all here have not experienced the presence of anger, pride, greed? Anyone here can claim? So it is there, but you cannot physically quantify it. And therefore, in order to eradicate from your heart such physically non-quantifiable impurities, you need to take the help of a higher energy or higher power, which is, what is the? First of all, Cheto Darpanajam, by chanting the holy names. And also hearing the holy names, not just chanting, but it is chanting and hearing, both. Not just you are chanting and you are completely engrossed in something, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. No, that won't work. You have to focus on the sound vibration. So similarly, just as the holy name is powerful, similarly Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy name, is also equally powerful. The holy names of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, within the Bhagavatam only this verse is there. And what is that? What is that verse? Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. So Bhagavat seva means not only, Bhagavat seva does not mean only hearing the Bhagavatam. That is one part of Bhagavat seva. But second part of Bhagavat seva is serving the person Bhagavat also. And that you cannot do online. Maybe by giving some donation, but that you cannot do online. For that you have to come here. You have to sit in front of the person Bhagavat. Serving a person Bhagavat need not only mean, oh, Prabhuji, मैं आपका पैर दबा देता हूँ. No physical activity. You just sit in front of him and hear from him. That is Bhagavat Sevaya in both ways. The book Bhagavat, person Bhagavat, both. So you can use online methods when it is physically not possible for you to come to the temple and hear a class. It may be difficult because of other engagements that you have. But when you do the online hearing, you are indicating to Krishna that you are seriously interested in hearing Bhagavatam, sitting in front of the speaker sitting in the temple. And if you have a serious desire to do so, then Krishna will facilitate it. We have to express the desire. The problem is, usually in many devotees' life, the problem is we are very hesitant to express our desires to Krishna. We usually express those desires which are more material in nature. Please, this is the problem I am facing. School में पढ़ाई नहीं हो रहा है, exam है, please थोड़ा कुछ कर दो. Interview है, job interview है, कुछ कर दो. So those are the desires we express to them. But he is waiting for us to express the actual spiritual desires. I want to hear Bhagavatam. I want to come to the temple and hear Bhagavatam. But somehow it is not happening. Something or the other keeps coming up. But I still want to do it. And how will you express I still want to do it? By hearing online. When you are really hard pressed for time, or you have some other engagement which is not allowing you to come here physically, still you hear online. That is your expression. That is when you are telling Krishna that I want to come, but please something. Then it will happen. You will get that taste. Everything will manifest. What is that? Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So God is giving us everything. We have to express our desire. Ye chahiye. We usually, as I said, we usually make Krishna as our order carrier. Ye chahiye means, abhi paisa chahiye, abhi husband chahiye, wife chahiye, ye chahiye, wo chahiye. We only talk about like order carrier, like we place order on Amazon. But this, why don't we place order for spiritual desires? I want taste. I am not having taste in chanting the holy name. I want taste. Like Haridas Thakur. I want taste to hear Bhagavatam. Sit in front of the Bhagavatam speaker in the temple and hear Bhagavatam. Somehow it is not happening. I am not getting time, or I have to go to the office at that time, this time. I just conclude with one story about one devotee from our congregation. This devotee, this was many years ago, and he was working outside in a corporate job, and he wanted to go to Jagannath Puri for Rath Yatra. He used to go regularly, and he had booked his tickets and the whole thing, he had done everything. And somehow he had also applied for leave, and his leave had been sanctioned. So he had made all the arrangements. But somehow, just when he was about to leave for Jagannath Puri for the Rath Yatra, his boss informed him, no, this other person, he said that he has something urgent, so he cannot be there in the office. So you cannot take your leave. Maybe you can take later, but now you cannot go on leave. So he was he said, sir, you cannot do this to me. And whatever, if you cannot give me leave, then I will resign from the job, but I will go to Jagannath Puri. And he actually did that. Now, I'm not advocating anything, because it is all individual. So this person did that, and he came back to Bombay, and when he came back to Bombay, he was completely dependent. Whatever you want me fit to face, he didn't tell to Jagannath, give me a job now. No. His purpose was, I want to go and participate in Jagannath Rath Yatra. He went, and when he came back, somehow it so happened that some of the other companies with which he was connected to while working in this company, some of the other companies, they were looking out for somebody with the same credentials which he had, with the same background which he had. They were looking for somebody like that, and when they heard that he had resigned, they came forward to him and offered him this job. And since then, now he has grown in his job to the position of vice president, one of the vice president in this company. So, we have to express our desire, our spiritual desires. As His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, you have to be ready to experience miracles in your life? Are we ready to experience miracles in our life? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. किसका?